We're here with the Minister for Transport and also with the Head of Sydney Trains, Howard Collins. We're pleased to announce that from the 26th of November, the new timetable for public transport will come into action. More than 8,600 weekly services in addition to what we have already. We're a government that is absolutely committed to increasing frontline services. We're a government that appreciates how important it is to increase public transport services, especially on the weekends. And if you're someone who uses public transport on the weekends, if you're someone in particular in Western or Greater Western Sydney or the Macarthur region, you'll see a huge boost in services from the 26th of November. But of course, we've also made sure that bus timetables and ferry timetables are getting a boost as well. And now we have an integrated timetable for all public transport users. This is a government that appreciates how important it is to boost the front line, to boost public transport services. And since we've been in government, we've introduced more than 27,000 extra weekly services. This will continue to grow because, as we know, public transport use becomes more popular. Initiatives like Opal have made it easier to change between one mode of transport to another. This will only boost the number of commuters using our system. I'm also pleased to say that on the 26th of November we'll see the introduction of the extra B-line or the new B-line services on the Northern Beaches, again demonstrating the integrated nature of our timetable. I'll now pass to the Minister for Transport.
Well, in a month's time we're going to have the biggest uplift in transport services in the state's history. Some 8,600 new services being introduced across ferries, buses, trains. It's going to be incredible. Most pleasing is the uplift in train services, servicing people right throughout Western Sydney from places like Penrith to Parramatta to Campbelltown to Blacktown. Everyone is set to benefit. There's no losers here when you introduce 8,600 new services across the board. Also, as part of this, we're going to see some 3,000 additional services to the Northern Beaches in terms of buses. Around 2,000 of that will be part of the B-line service, those new 38 double-decker buses servicing that spine that runs right along the Northern Beaches. In terms of trains, 1,500 new weekly services, but what's very pleasing about this is well over 75% of the network now will have a train service turn up less than 15 minutes. The reliability is off the charts, the service uplift is off the charts. This is going to be an historic day, and as we introduce the services, people as of today will be able to find their new timetables. They've got well over a month to prepare for the changes and then work with the over 500 volunteers who will be there on November 26th to assist with this change. We're going to have to get into a new rhythm with such an uplift in services. It will take a couple of days to bed down, but it is going to be a phenomenal increase in change in services across the board, coming at a time when the government's investing in new infrastructure at record levels.
Minister, where will we see the bulk of the changes? Which lines?
Look, right across the board, but the most exciting one I think is the T1 line, where we will see 300 additional services. From places like Penrith, there's going to be a service every 10 minutes on the weekends. We're going to also, of course, see now a train every 3 minutes, in the peak from places like Parramatta into the city. What is also the great, amazing story about the uplift in those 1,500 train services is that 750 of those are going to be on the weekends. That means that services are going to be more reliable, more frequent, and it'll encourage more people onto the network during what has now become a busy time during the week in terms of commuting across Sydney. So great news in that regard, but the big winners are most certainly Western Sydney.
Is this just purely response to demand?
Yeah, we've seen an uplift in demand over the last 12 months alone of some 11%. Over the next 3 years, we're expecting an uplift in demand in the order of 21%. So we have to invest. And this, of course, comes at a time when we're going to see the new metro train, that single-deck driverless train, come onto our network as well. So major investments happening in terms of infrastructure, but well in advance of that, as of November 26, 2017, an incredible uplift, an historic uplift in services as well.
How many B-line buses will we see roll out on November 26th?
We're going to see 38 double-decker buses servicing the people of the Northern Beaches. But it's not just about bus services. We're also building 6 new commuter car parks to sit alongside that service so that people can get to the B-line service and then travel into town. It's about getting cars off that busy road. There's no doubt if you look at the traffic to the Northern Beaches, it's without doubt one of the busiest corridors in the nation. We're going to tackle it head on with a new B-line service.
Do you concerned that they're not going to work, that B-line service is going to work effectively at the beginning? Because those commuter car parks, they want to
Well, again, what we're going to have is new commuter car parks open on day one. We've got 5 of those commuter car parks opening very soon. But also as part of this, we've got additional feeder services from buses servicing the B line. So we will see local bus services run into the B line. And we're also doing a trial of on-demand services as well. So I think it's a great example of how we can deliver a more effective network, an integrated network. But the only other thing that I would add in terms of Beeline, and this is the great news for the people of the Northern Beaches, is that after 7 o'clock at night there's going to be a bus every 10 minutes, and that's where people want to be able to get home with ease and not have to sit around waiting for a bus, dwelling around bus stops in the city.
There are some changes outside of Sydney as well, like Newcastle. Can you take us through that?
Again, without saying too much, we are about to open the new interchange in Newcastle. That is going to deliver a hub for the new intercity services, the light rail services, bus services in Newcastle, and of course as part of this, we're very excited to see the new intercity fleet, which is going to be delivering a new train, a modern world-class train to the people of the Hunter starting 2019. So major uplift in terms of services to the Hunter. We've also got additional services happening right across the board in terms of our intercity, but we've still got to obviously tackle the enormous growth that we're seeing in the suburban network, which is what today's about. November 26, big timetable changes, urging everyone to get on board and make sure they're prepared in advance.
Premier, the by-elections yesterday, how would you describe the result in Coomera and Murray?
Oh, look, I'm very pleased with the result. Governments always face huge swings in by-elections. I'm really pleased that we've kept both seats, and I'm really excited about the future. We have so much to offer the people of New South Wales. We'll continue to keep our heads down and work hard so that every community across the state receives the infrastructure and services it needs.
Relieved as well?
I'm sorry?
Relieved as well?
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of effort went in.
Yeah, absolutely relieved. Whenever there's a by-election, there's always a major swing against the government. I'm extremely relieved we held on to both seats, but I think it's also a demonstration that we're continuing to work hard to deliver what's important to people. Communities want to know about jobs, infrastructure, services. That's what we're about, and I'm really pleased and grateful that the community has supported us on this occasion.
Do you worry that you're going to lose Murray?
I always worry about by-elections. It's always a worry, but I'm so pleased with the result, and I want to thank the community for investing in us, for supporting us, and we won't let you down. We'll continue to work hard to deliver those things that are most important to you. Infrastructure, jobs, services, they're the things governments are here to deliver. We're focusing on that, and I look forward to doing more of that into the future.
During the week, you said that under your leadership and President O'Reilly's leadership, that you were reaching out to regional New South Wales, and it was much better than your predecessor. Do you still stand by that statement, even though there's been some big swings against?
Oh, look, of course, there's always more for us to do, but I do feel there's been a shift. I do feel the community appreciates we're listening, we're working hard, we're delivering for them on the ground, and of course governments always have more to do, and I don't take that lightly. Leading a state like New South Wales is an enormous responsibility, and every single person in the state, no matter where they live, what their postcode, expects the government to be delivering for them, and we'll continue to work hard to earn the respect and the support of the community.
The swing must be disappointing though.
Oh, I don't think Labor has any right to chest beat this morning. They got 20% primary vote in Cootamundra, 23% in Murray. I wouldn't be chest beating if I was a Labor Party. But what the result does tell us is that we need to continue to work hard, as we will, and we have to respect and appreciate every community has its needs that they expect us to deliver on. And for us, the priorities continue to be delivering jobs, building that vital infrastructure, and providing those services that make a difference to people.
Murray's now a marginal seat. How concerned are you as the leader of the Liberal Party that a loss of national seats in the push in 2019 will bring back the cost of it?
Well, I'm confident that we'll continue to gain ground and build confidence in rural and regional New South Wales. That's what we've been doing since the beginning of the year, and I've made no secret of the fact that the Deputy Premier and I have been working very hard in rural and regional New South Wales. Governments always have more to do, there's always room for improvement, but I'm feeling confident that we're building on the trust that people have given to us, and we'll continue to do that.
What do you base that statement? Why do you think that?
Oh, because of the hard work we're doing, communities appreciate that we're listening. Communities are very direct and frank in the advice they give us, and it's a government making sure that we prioritise what's important to communities. It's important to know that every community has its unique set of circumstances. services, and that's what we've been doing. We've been making sure that communities who have a particular need in health or education or infrastructure get those vital services they need, as well as job creation, and that's really our priority.
How much of a role the results have been focusing on aspect of government
My experience with by-elections is there's always a number of different issues which impact people. By-elections are really an opportunity for people to consider what's happening in their local communities, and every single town, every single community will have its own issues. I don't think it's appropriate to be able to say it was one thing or another, but generally speaking, by-elections do raise a lot of local issues, and we've listened during the campaigns, but we've also been listening every day in and day out, because not only do we need to keep delivering, but we also need to keep delivering those services that mean most to people in rural and regional New South Wales.
Mr. Collins, can we ask you a few questions
Sure.
about train services? In terms of moving people, how many more people will be moved on November 26th?
Well, we're carrying record numbers now, 1.3 million trips a day in the weekday. What we're also seeing is weekend traffic is very much higher than it was 2 or 3 years ago. So this timetable change is to ensure we provide a train every 3 minutes to and from Parramatta, gets Western Sydney and South West Sydney connected with the rest of the network. But it is going to be a challenge. We're putting everything up. We're getting staff out there, hundreds of volunteers. And I'd ask customers to have a look at those changes well in advance. They're out today. Check your new routes, check your new times, and we'll be there to help you.
You said the challenge though, so if they rock up there, the train line may not be going at a certain time. What's the adjustment here?
Well, I think what we understand is Sydney and New South Wales is now becoming a global place. People are using public transport. Therefore, we have to think like many of the colleagues in New York, Paris, London, where it's about interchange, it's about understanding the timetable, it's about turn up and go. What's great is you can turn up on a Sunday on this new timetable and not have to wait half an hour for a service in the city. And we're starting to understand that people want that turn up and go service. So that's what we're doing. We're using every resource we can, and what I'm asking customers to do is to help us move you along quickly, having a look at what's going on out there, and we're there, our station staff, the information on websites, but more importantly, we're there to help everyone get around quickly around this great stuff.
Which lines will people see the most change?
Significantly on the Western Line. T1 is going to be really busy. We're running trains now in and out of Parramatta, 24 trains an hour. We're upping the services in many other parts of Western Sydney. A direct north-south line from Leppington all the way up to Richmond to deal with the traffic which is increasing in that north-south route. And you know, I use the trains every day. If you look out the window, you see apartment after apartment being built. Those people are going to travel on our network. So this is getting us prepared, not only for this year, but next year, the opening of Metro, and the year after. It's not going to stop. We need more public transport.
Just how much of the increase in demand is because people just don't want to dare face the congestion on our roads?
Well, look, I think the bottom line is that, you know, what we're seeing is people opting for public transport, and that's great news. And we're a public transport government. We're investing $41.5 billion over the next 4 years in public transport and roads. That's off the charts. We're at a global scale in terms of our investment. There's very few jurisdictions around the world that is investing like we are in New South Wales at this time on roads and public transport. Our budget's bigger than every other state and territory combined. We're outspending the Commonwealth in terms of infrastructure. You know, we've got a 4-year program, they've got a 10-year program, and we are outspending them in that 4-year period. So we are going to keep going hard. I think with the advent of 4 metro projects, 3 light rail projects, major investments in our motorway networks in North Connects and West Connects, the community is responding to the fact that we are a government that is getting out and delivering. We're not a government about talk. We're not a previous Labor government which cancelled projects, letting everybody down. We're playing catch up there, and we're investing into future services. So we will continue to do that. We're focused, we're delivering, and I think the community is responding by getting on public transport and helping us ease road congestion, which is an enormous economic and social cost.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.